So I woke up this morning with this like very clear message signal. I have the attention span of a goldfish. There's this really beautiful lemon tree right outside the window. But yeah, I woke up with this very clear message that the piece I was working on for the last, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks for Substack, titled I Moved to Johannesburg, was supposed to be a YouTube video. Or I just like woke up with the awareness that that piece, that story, is supposed to be a YouTube video. I'll probably post the video in the Substack post, but yeah, I'm running late right now. My Uber is definitely here. I'm going to meet a friend for coffee, and then I'm probably gonna stay there to work for the day. Actually, the day. I wake up so late now because I work on East Coast time, so I'm working late every night. But yeah, hopefully get a few hours of like deep work in after our little coffee date. So yeah, I guess I will come back and tell the story. I am really bad about putting sunscreen on, and I have like tons of freckles. I never had freckles before. And I remember as a kid, like I'd always be outside and I just never wanted sunscreen. But I live in Africa and the sun in South Africa is, I don't know, I've been to Ghana and Nigeria and I think the sun is stronger here. Like even if it's not hot out, if you just sit by a window, like I'll burn. You can't really tell right now. It's definitely winter in South Africa, but the sun is strong and it's important to protect. I'm gonna be 30 in November. So lots of anti-aging routines will be commencing yesterday. Didn't really bring that many clothes. I have like the same few outfits, but some of them I really like. I'm not about to do a fit check. I don't know, I'm not a vlogger. I'm not one of these girlies, but here we are because the dream world told me I had to make this video. And when you hear the call and you ignore the call, consequences are dire. I won't be ignoring the call.
Thanks yourself.
I'm good, thank you. Is this your dog?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Pablo.
You said Pablo?
Yeah.
Hi, Pablo.
He's from just bath.
He's from where?
From bath. Yeah, the nice bath.
Oh, had a bath. So cute. Yeah. Yes. Beautiful. Thank you. Have a nice day. The amount of time I spend in malls in South Africa is like 100 times. I don't even think that's right. I negative go to the mall when I'm in the US. I'm lazy and I just order stuff online. But here, sorry, there's some really cute clothes. Okay, wow. I have never actually seen a store where I feel like that is my style. My hair is still dripping wet. Obviously, I find things that I like at stores, but to actually see like all of the mannequins styled and things I would wear, crazy. Since I moved to South Africa, actually the month before moving, I started experiencing such intense grief. And I'm someone who like doesn't cry. I get very angry, but I don't cry. I've been told I have a quick temper, but I don't cry. And I cried so much. It was like 3 weeks before I left, like every weekend. My body was like, Monday to Friday you could work, but on the weekend I just like went into myself, and for days I'd be like crying. And I assumed it was like processing leaving New York, where I've been based primarily, been in and out for like 10 years. I first went to New York for college. And while I lived in England, I lived in Mississippi. Like I always found myself back in New York. I'm from Massachusetts originally. But yeah, I just kind of attributed this grief to releasing that, and then also some of the close relationships that I had that I knew like weren't gonna translate to me being abroad. And after arriving in South Africa, I just continued to cry. Like right now I'm so emotional, and I just like was reflecting on like how important hospitality is to me, and like how much I really love it. I don't know why this is making me emotional. I reached out, I rent my house when I'm traveling. I have a house in Hudson Valley, and I rent it while I'm away, but also just when the weather's nice and like I can go crash somewhere else. And if people like want to come up from the city and rent my crib, I rent it. And this last couple times I like go to the farmer's market, the weather's nice, so I go pick out like a really beautiful bouquet of flowers or 3 from like a local farmer, and I make sure my house is like really clean, and I just like make it welcoming, I make it inviting, I make it this safe space that it's been for me for the past 2 years. And yeah, so I got an email from my Wi-Fi provider that there's been a lot of storms. Like I keep getting emails about the cuts in Wi-Fi, so I just reached out and I'm like, are you good? Is the Wi-Fi good? Can I help? Is there anything that's necessary? The Wi-Fi hasn't gone out any of the times that the storms have happened, but yeah, just having a moment to like connect. And the person who's in my house is an artist and a professor, and has traveled to Johannesburg and has friends here, and so now we're just like connecting around that, and I just feel very emotional. I don't know, I love like being in service to people, and I love catering to people's needs. Like I think that is like what it's more about. It's like anticipated need or a challenge, and to like try to bring some ease to someone's life in a moment. And I think that's something that like hospitality and travel and tourism offers. But there's definitely something deeper here, because why am I crying? Why am I about to cry? Okay, so reasons why it's hard to move abroad, even though life in America is very hard. There's something called a foreign tax. I'm coining this. If it doesn't exist, I'm coining it. People always talk about how Black Americans should move to Africa, or we should move to the Caribbean, or we should move to Mexico because the quality of life is better and life is so much cheaper. Not at first. When you don't know the ropes and when you don't know what's going on, it's expensive. Like, you make mistakes that cost money. I don't think I'm supposed to say. Let me try that again. There's a couple things that I want to name that I don't feel like people are naming in this movement for leaving America and moving abroad. Often the selling point is more affordability, cheaper cost of living for a higher quality of life. And again, this is true in some ways, but there's such a thing as a foreign tax. The fact that you don't know the ropes and that you're not from here means that you're gonna accrue costs that are unanticipated, that you cannot budget for. So just right now, if you're making your plan to move abroad and you're making your monthly budget, I want you to add a line item that's like foreign tax. And this might be connectivity and data. Like, I blew through 200 gigs of data in like a week and a half because I didn't have Wi-Fi at our spot, and because it was just the Wi-Fi providers were just running amok and they just weren't setting up Wi-Fi at our apartment, which means I had to use data. I had to use data for my computer. I had to use data for my phone. I was in a class. I was taking a class. So I'm streaming video, like streaming audio. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I work remotely. Like, I'm always online. so not having Wi-Fi means I'm paying for that the whole time, and that got expensive. And I swear, like, some of the data was like fake data. I'm like, this just doesn't work. Like, why am I going through this much data in such a short period of time? You know, sometimes the data just like won't work. Like, you'll have data, but it's not working. So foreign tax. There's also like, you don't know the place you're moving. So maybe you take an Uber to meet your friend and you go to the whole wrong place. Then you got to take another Uber to go somewhere else. That was money that you spent that you didn't anticipate spending. So yeah, foreign tax. Just budget for the fact that you don't know what's going on and you don't know this place that you're moving to, and you are going to accrue costs for that. Which cuts into that whole like cost of living is cheaper. I'll report back in like a few months when I'm more adjusted. But I would say I'm in this travel tourism accelerator for my travel business that I have, and the founder of that, she and I had a check-in call the other day, and she moved to Barcelona a year ago, and she was, or maybe a little more than a year ago, but she's talking about how hard it was to move abroad and how she felt like nobody was talking about that. No one was talking about how long it took to feel like you're at home. So yeah, it was nice to connect with her and just hear it's like you love it, but you also are in a lot of pain and you hate it and it's really hard, and all of that can be true at once. And I think we're in this age of just selling, and everyone online is just trying to sell something so that they can then sell you a product, so they can coach you on how to move abroad. And they're not going to tell you the hard stuff. Maybe in the coaching sessions when you pay them $1,500 an hour, I don't know, they'll tell you, but from their persona and the outside, they're trying to sell an experience, and then they're trying to sell products, and then they're not telling you about like the hard stuff. Another very challenging aspect of moving abroad that I didn't anticipate is that now I'm almost 30. I'm gonna be 30 in November. Last time I moved abroad, I was 23, 24. And it was just, I liken it to hangovers. When you're in your early 20s, like you can rock and roll the next day. Like you're fine. Like you can, even being in high school, you have a sleepover with your friends and you guys stay up all night, and you have a softball tournament the next day, and you can show up and play softball and you're fine. And then hangovers in your early 20s and your mid 20s, you can be at the club, like you're chilling, you can drink a bunch of Hennessy, and then that next day you're fine and you can function, you can go to class, you can do whatever. The older you get, the worse the hangovers get, and the longer that they last. Like at least for me, they last 2 to 3 days now. I can't drink really anything besides tequila, otherwise it's gonna be a problem. My body just is rejecting anything that isn't like really healthy and nourishing. And it also just rejects disruption. It has a hard time with changes, more so than when I was younger. So everyone sees me as like a flight risk, as someone who's like always on a plane, as someone who doesn't stay still. My aunt low-key called me a rolling stone the other day. She's like, Annalise, like a stone that keeps moving, like can't grow any moss. And I'm like, damn. I gotta crib in New York, like I'm trying. Also, living a legacy, like my grandmother didn't stay still either. She lived in so many different countries and knew so many languages, and it just feels like a compulsion to me. It's in my body, and I believe like further back in the ancestry, we were nomadic people. I've been researching Fulani, and I think that may have been us. But anyway, I digress. Now that I'm almost 30, moving abroad is so unsettling. I've spent the last 2 years in a house that I bought, that I own. Nobody can tell me it's mine. 2 years just in this cocoon, this like womb space of healing that like I created, that my mom helped me build, that my grandmother as an ancestor led me to, that my grandmother who's living like transferred a ton of knowledge that allowed me to be able to acquire this property. I've been grounded. Like I was grounded for a few years. I still traveled a lot. Like this is hysterical. I definitely went to Africa like 4 times. But to like uproot myself and move and to rent my house for a long term and to come to a new place has shook me more than I anticipated. My body is like, what is going on? Where are we? What is happening? I want to go home. There's this like anxiety and this like hollowness that I feel like at night before I go to sleep that I wasn't anticipating. And so this is the point is that there are difficulties that you will encounter, and I think they like probably differ per person. So I'm learning myself, and I'm learning this new version of me who needs a level of grounding and autonomy and control to feel comfortable.
And freedom means something different to me than it did when I was 22, 21. And so I'm moving through this adjustment in a way that, yeah, I just wasn't anticipating. I thought it was going to be easy. And maybe this isn't for everyone. Maybe other people who didn't like live abroad or didn't travel a lot, like they'll get this new sense of freedom and it will feel different for them. But I want to name that moving abroad, like there's this uprooting that happens that triggers at least my nervous system. It really rocks me. And I'm trying to find my balance. I'm trying to find my grounding and my footing. And it's simple things. It's like your routine. So you know where to go work out. You know where to go work and get Wi-Fi. You know where to like go meet your friends. Like you know where to go get your needs met when you're at home. When you move somewhere new, you don't know what's going on. You don't know how, you have to find a gym. Like you have to find a place to work. Like you have to find a place to like grocery shop. You have to find the cell phone provider. Like you have to figure everything out. Like you don't have this container of stability. And it takes up a lot of mental capacity to have to figure every aspect of your life out again. I think we take routine for granted, and I think we take just awareness for granted. And I also think as Americans move through the world as if they can conquer anything and are entitled to anything and everything is easy for them and is for them. And I think this, in a lot of ways, gets affirmed, which is a problem. And maybe it's good for us. Like maybe it's good for us to get rocked and to get like put out of our comfort zone. But just this whole movement of particularly Black Americans moving abroad and just selling the dream to other people to move abroad. Like I heard some story of some chick moving without a job, somewhere running out of money, getting stuck. Like stop telling people to move abroad. One, not everyone is built for this. Two, it takes a lot of planning and prep and thinking and intention and relationship building. Like if you just rock up somewhere on your own, it's gonna be even harder. Like I have a network of friends here. I had family when I moved to London. Like if you just go to some arbitrary place where you're not from and insert yourself, it's gonna take a while to adjust. I was talking to a friend when I moved to London, and even London, like I had family there. My grandmother and my aunt are buried there. Like I got grounding there. It took me 6 months to find friends, like people that I actually called community. And then once I tapped in, like that's still one of my strongest communities. But I'd say it took 6 months. And I remember talking to another friend who was living in London, who was American, who had lived in Australia as well. And he kind of affirmed like, yeah, 6 months. So I'd say if you're moving abroad, anticipate at least 6 months of complete discomfort. If you don't know people already, of not having friends, like not having community, like not feeling grounded, and prepare your nervous system for that. I was texting my brother, and I was just like, bro, I feel so anxious. But it was this anxiety I'd never really felt before. It was just this like I just felt hollow. I just felt this like really intense void that I'd never experienced. Like it wasn't sad, I wasn't angry, I wasn't like it was nothing. Like I felt nothing. And I was just thinking it's anxiety. And then my brother said it's probably the move. Like I hate feeling disoriented. And I remember when he first got to college and he had a really, really, really rough time. And he's a Capricorn, so he's, hello. Oh my God, this girl just walked by. It was such a cute outfit. Okay. I think so much of this like apparent vlogging journey that my dreams told me I have to go on is going to be about y'all seeing my like deep ADD and just how easily I get distracted. Anyway, yes, my brother was sharing that my anxiety is probably from feeling disoriented, and I hadn't even considered that. But then I remembered like when he went to school and he was like not doing well at first, and he's a Capricorn, and so his routine is like so important to him. Like he's always like, as long as we've known him, it's just like he needs his routine, he needs his self-care Sundays, and he also has had his like own room with a queen bed. Like he's got his setup, and moving to college for him was really disruptive, and we were all like, is he at the right school, does he need to transfer, blah blah blah. But now he's doing great, and it was just a matter of like he didn't like feeling disoriented. And so he said that to me, and I started to reflect and think of all the ways I've been disoriented by moving abroad. So I've been based in New York I travel extensively, but like I've had my base that's at home that I've now rented to someone else, and it was a place where I was fully safe to be the fullest expression of myself in whatever manifestation that was on any particular day. And it's quite disorienting to move to a country on another continent, a 16-hour flight away, 6 hours time zone difference. And I think I underestimate that because I travel so much and because I've lived abroad before. I wasn't expecting, and because I visit this place, like I've been here, I spent 2 months here last year and then went again last year for 2 weeks. And now I'm back. Oh, and I was here a couple months ago for also like 3 weeks. But this is so different because I knew I was going home. So my perception was completely different. I'm in South Africa and there's such a thing as load shedding. The elections just happened. There's been no load shedding, but it's just a matter of time. They're going to turn that back off on whatever. But any of the other times I was like, oh, load shedding is kind of cute. It's like an opportunity to disconnect. But then I'd see my friends who like have businesses and jobs and they get so angry whenever the power got shut off because it's inconvenient. And also your livelihood is tied to the internet in most cases. And me right now, like I work a job that's remote, that's on East Coast time, and then I run a business. My entire livelihood, my entire earning capacity, I cannot work in this country. Do not have permission to work in this country. Although they just released the digital nomad visa, but again, that's reliant on me working abroad and then bringing dollars here and paying taxes here. So my livelihood is directly correlated with my access to internet and data and connectivity. And while before it was cute to like be able to disconnect, like now it's existential. Like when there's no Wi-Fi, when there's no power, and again, we haven't had load shedding, but just the regular connectivity issues. Sometimes your data just doesn't work, or you're blowing through data really quickly, or it takes 6 weeks for your Wi-Fi provider to turn on Wi-Fi at the apartment. These things become existential because my livelihood, I rely on that to earn money. I cannot work here. I can't earn money here. So me not having internet, it brings this panic and this, like, I'm crying over Wi-Fi. Like, how colonized could I be? But honestly, I have to survive and I earn money on the internet. Most of us do. I think everyone's like, oh, the digital nomad, like online job, like content creation, yada, yada, yada. But a lot of us work remote. We rely on the internet to make money. And so that panic and that like existential crises that you're having when you can't log on and you can't get to a meeting or you can't get to work and you're fearing what could happen because of that, quite disorienting. Also just your bed, like different home, different everything. Everything is different. And I don't think I'm having culture shock. I would honestly say I had more culture shock when I moved to England than like coming to South Africa. I feel much like it was just the integration here was much easier culturally, and I just feel like I deeply appreciate and love the culture here. In England, I remember like the slang and just the accents. Like it would take me time to hear and understand what people are saying. It took me several months to actually. There were so many times I'm like, huh? We're here. For some reason, I understand more with the slang, with the accents. I'm integrating better in that way, but still everything around me is different. And we are ourselves now, and we are all our past selves, and we are all who we will grow to be. And our inner children have needs that can't necessarily understand what 29, almost 30-year-old us needs. And children need stability, and children need consistency, and children need routine. But also, as I get older, the more routine I also need, and having to rebuild my routine, kind of from a place of not being conscious that I'm doing that, where I'm like, I need to work out. Like my mental health is not good if I'm not working out. At home, I have my workout routine. I pay monthly. I have a group training program that I go to. We have a coach. We have a community. I know where I'm going. I know what days it's happening, and I can get that need met. Here, I have to find a gym. I have to like figure out what I want to, and I don't really like the gym. Like I'm lazy and I don't work hard enough at the gym. I need a coach and I need to be trained, and I love a group workout environment where you're making friends. So it took me a month to find that here. I did find that, and it's great, and I'm happy I have it, and I'm doing much better. Finding the places that you can work. Where I'm at right now, I come here almost every day, and I did know about this place before, but sometimes I've tried to venture out and try a new spot, but then the Wi-Fi doesn't work, or my data's not working, and I'm messing up my workflow. And so just now I'm just coming to the place I know, because actually, surprisingly, this is a grounding place for me now because I'm coming here every day and I know I can get Wi-Fi, I know I can eat, I know I can get a good cocktail, and it's only 10 minutes from my place. But yes, disorientation can manifest as like really extreme anxiety. And I think that when we're telling Americans to move abroad or just telling anybody to move abroad, that's something we have to talk about. Also, like exchange rates and foreign, like back to my foreign tax chat, foreign transaction fees on literally everything if you're not using your credit card. That cuts into your cost of living, savings, whatever people are telling you about moving abroad. Like unless you're like having a solid strategy with your credit card where you're not overspending and you're not accruing debt, you're paying for every transaction, every single one. So it's like Uber comes in 3 times. It comes in for the ride, the tax, the ride, the tip, and then the foreign fee. And none of this is to like lament or to complain or to be like, oh, Americans have it so hard, because we don't. We have mobility that is unmatched by many countries. Like South Africans have to get a visa to go anywhere. Like my friend travels a lot and she has to submit bank statements, like business, like just give all her business about her literal business and her life to the Italian embassy so she can go to Europe, and she gets a 6-month visa, and every 6 months she has to do that again. Schengen did just start requiring that Americans also go through a visa process. So I do think that because America is just trash as a country and in terms of international affairs and foreign policy, we're disgusting. And like, we are disgusting. We always have been. I think other countries are starting to respond to that, and they're saying you can't just rock up here. Like you cannot just come here and you need a visa and you need permission. So things are going to change for us too. But we have a lot of mobility compared to other countries, and we can just like up and move to a new country, and then our dollar, like the power of the dollar goes so far in other places. So we can go and be comfortable, and our money can go further in other places. And we can be millionaires in other places where we're broke in America. So this is not to say that Americans have it rough by any means. This is just to say that there are a lot of people on the internet right now who are saying how easy it is to move abroad and how everyone should do it. One, no, not everyone should do it. This is not for everyone. I have been traveling 10 years. I've lived abroad once before. My dad is from another country. Like I am as international as can be, and this is very hard. This is very hard. So somebody who's just chilling and who hasn't left the country, or who only goes on like some Cancun vacation on some Trump resort, then moving abroad is going to be very difficult. So this is all I'm saying, is that I think there's some other truths that need to be revealed about moving abroad. And I think just be weary of anyone who's telling you how great it is, how perfect it is, how easy it is, and just look at what they're trying to sell you. Are they trying to sell you on some like moving abroad coaching program? And just think about just prepare. Just think about and prepare for the ways that this might be difficult, so you're not shocked.
The ending was so abrupt. I don't really have a conclusion. I feel like I said what I needed to say, and I'm just making this video because Spirit told me to. It's not to discourage you. It's not to say people shouldn't move abroad. It's to say that people have ulterior motives when they're telling you how easy it is on the internet. And beyond just our own difficulties and experiences, I think there's like a level of consciousness that we need when we go other places. I was watching a video the other day of some chick who just moved to Turkey and had never been before. I think that's wild. I think it's wild to move to a country. I think it's entitled as well to move to a country you've never visited before. I think it's from this American exceptionalist, American superiority complex that says I can go wherever I want to. I can do whatever I want, wherever I want. I feel like you should visit a country at least 3 times before you move. Unless you're not really moving and you have one suitcase and you're going to leave in a month. And it's like, I don't think you're moving if you are not staying for more than like 4 months. So some of it is just like clickbait, but yeah, visit, like go hang out, go connect with people, go vibe, go invest, like invest yourself holistically, not just monetarily, but like your story, invest your personality, invest your time, invest your
just different aspects of yourself into the place and like and be in a reciprocal relationship with that place before you just decide to go plant yourself somewhere. I don't really post on YouTube because I really like making analog film, and analog film's expensive to make, and now there's nowhere for me to buy or process analog film where I live. So I don't anticipate I'll get to make any analog shorts in the near future, but I think there's definitely room for me to improve my storytelling skills using digital. And so I'm going to be less of an analog snob, and I'm going to just take this as an opportunity to improve my editing, improve my storytelling, because ultimately that's the work that when I don't have to think about money and when I don't have to think about career and professional development and whatever else, if I had endless resource and endless time, I would be making analog films and taking analog photos. So maybe this is preparation for a time where that is a resourced possibility. But yeah, for now, I guess it's vlogs of my transition here, and maybe some behind the scenes of the travel business that I'm building, which for me, travel is merely a conduit for healing, interconnectedness, and storytelling. But yeah, we'll see how this emerges. I've recently felt reinvigorated by like learning new skills. I was really stagnant for a number of years. I'd reached some pretty big milestones and then just didn't know what else I wanted from life. And it wasn't good. Boredom is not good for me. And I've recently reconnected with how important it is to like keep learning and how much excitement and energy I get from that. So here's to skill building. Here's to putting myself out there. I also hid for like 5 years of my 20s. I didn't want to be seen. I was just going through a lot. Also, like toxic relationships will do that to you. I was very just like in myself, like reclusive, and I feel just more capable of being visible and less unsafe in the world. So here's me. And this, I keep mentioning this, but I'm turning 30 in November, and I think I'm like, oh my God, I'm turning 30. And it feels important to just really commit to the dreams and the visions that I have and the life that I want to build. 444. So yeah, thanks for being here, I guess. I don't think anybody's here. I think there's like nobody here, which also kind of makes me feel free in doing this. So if you stumble across this video and you watch the whole thing, thanks. Maybe I'll make some new friends doing this. Maybe I'll just, I don't know, become more comfortable in myself and in my voice. But peace.